On our Bristol Village Computer Club website, there is a tutorial. If you get to the Little Red Schoolhouse, there is a tutorial that I'm going to be following here tonight on how to create greeting cards. So you don't have to take a lot of notes because there's a lot of more detail here than I'll be telling you about. Before we get started doing a greeting card, we have to figure out how we're going to make this thing. So the first step is to take a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper and fold it in half twice, because that's how your greeting card's going to fold up. Once you fold it in half twice, you can put it the way you want to read it and write on it front of card, open it up and say inside left, inside right, on the back, right back of card. And then unfold it, and you will see that some of those words are upside down and some of them are right side up. Without this step, you won't know what part of your card to put which way, okay? But if you actually do this, scribble it on a blank piece of paper, fold it up, and then lay that piece of paper in front of you, you will know how to make each 1/4 of the card, how to orient each 1/4 of the card so that when you fold it up again, things will be right side up. So now that we have that step out of the way, and we have that model to go by, we're going to open up not LibreOffice Write, but LibreOffice Draw. So let me go to LibreOffice, and it's yelling at me because I'm using LibreOffice Presenter, so LibreOffice is already open. LibreOffice has all these components. It includes text documents, word processing, spreadsheets, presentations, slideshows, but the one we're going to use for the greeting cards is called the Drawing program. So let me start a brand new drawing, and here it is. And there's a sheet of paper, and this is kind of a thumbnail view of the same sheet of paper, which doesn't seem to help us a lot, so I'm just going to close that thumbnail view. But let's take a quick tour of the user interface for LibreOffice Draw. Like most Windows programs, the very top line, horizontal line, is the title bar. And there you have two things. You have the name of the program that's in that window, and to the left of that you have the name of the document file that you're currently working on. So just glancing at a window, any window, if I would glance back here, I'd see a title bar. Back here I'm running Adobe Reader with this file open. But in this little window here, I'm running LibreOffice Draw. The next horizontal line in most Windows programs is called the menu bar. And part of the problem with learning how to use the software is learning the words that the software guys use. The trouble is they use good old-fashioned words that you already know, but they give them brand new meanings, and that can be confusing. So you have to bite the bullet and learn their words for things. This second horizontal line is called the menu bar, and most Windows programs have that. And if you click on one of the words in a menu, a little menu will pop down and give you other things to click on. The next line across here is a toolbar, and the next line below that is, in this illustration, is called the Format toolbar. And we'll see more about those tools in a minute. Down at the very bottom of the display, we have another toolbar that's called the Drawing Toolbar. You maybe have that toolbar or not. Let me pop back over here to the actual live LibreOffice Drawing window. On LibreOffice, whatever application you're running, including Draw, there's a place on the menu bar that says View. And if you click on that and slide down to Toolbars, you'll see a whole list of toolbars that can be turned on and off. In this case, I'm using 3 toolbars. I'm using the Drawing Toolbar. That's the thing that ends up at the bottom of the display. I'm using the Line and Filling Toolbar, and that's one of the context menus you'll see in a minute. And I'm using the Standard Toolbar. So those are the 3 toolbars that I have on my view as I work here. There's the Drawing Toolbar down there. And this is my drawing area, and these are my margins. And just like in a word processing program, I can say format the page, and I can call up different margins and do all of that. but I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to take what's known as the default settings. Default settings are the settings that are there unless you change them. They're there by default. Okay, now you will recall when we folded that paper and unfolded it, you may or may not recall, that down in the lower right corner of the unfolded page is where the front of the card ends up. So let's put some text down in that lower right area that will be right side up text on the front of the card. On the drawing toolbar is this big T, which is the text tool, and I just select that and I click someplace and I type text. And you'll notice, I want to call your attention to the fact that as soon as I started working on text, this toolbar changed to a standard text formatting toolbar. And this is what you're familiar with if you've done any word processing. So you can select the text, and you can make it bold, and you can make it beautiful, and you can make it different fonts, and you can make it different sizes, just like you would do in word processing, but all that text is living in a box on this page. And if I click on the margin of the box, the cursor, when I hold it right on the edge of the box, turns into a four-way arrow, which means I can drag that around. I can move that box to other places. You'll notice when that box, that text box is selected, it also has little grabbers on all the corners and the midpoints. And I can grab those and I can drag the box bigger. Once I'm inside the box, I have it, because it's a text box, I have a text cursor, and I could hit the enter key and I could put text on different lines. So I have a miniature little word processing box when I choose the text tool and plonk it down and start typing. Ask me a question so far. If you don't ask me lots of questions, I'll run out of stuff too soon. I'll never run out of stuff, you know that. But I will tell you stuff you don't want to know when you're not ready to know it. So far, now, if I click, right now this box is selected. If I click the mouse anywhere away from that, that box is no longer selected, and my page looks like this. And if I would use the printer tool and print my page and fold it up, I would have words on the front of the card and nothing else on the card.
How do you get a picture up there?
Pardon? How do you get a picture up there, you ask? I'm glad you asked that question. Suppose that it's Christmas time and I want to put a picture of a Christmas tree on the back of the card, which you'll recall is over here in the lower left corner. Well, I just happened to have Paint Shop Pro open in the background, and a little while ago I went and grabbed a Christmas tree. How did I get that Christmas tree, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. What I did was I went to the internet. If I can find, did I close my internet? No. Let me get rid of the National Gallery of Canada and Google Maps and all these tabs. And even the OSU band. Now I'm back to the club homepage, and one of the things on the homepage you'll recall from last month's newsletter, no, you will recall from next month's newsletter, you can't recall it yet, are quick links for Google searches. And one of the quick links says images. And if I click on images, well, let me click on web first, because you all know about Google searching with this standard Google search bar, right? So if I say tree and I enter that, I get, millions, a billion citations of articles that have the word tree in, but I don't want to look for trees. So let's not go there. Let's go to the quick link to images. And looks just like the Google search bar almost, but now if I type in Xmas, because I'm lazy, tree, Now, instead of going to web pages, it goes off into the world and it finds web pages that have images that are related to the word Xmas tree. Okay, you can see this coming already. If I wanted to, I could just do what magic key to capture that whole screen? You didn't think there wasn't going to be a quiz, do you? Remember the magic key you press to capture the screen? Print screen. I could do that, but then I'd get too many trees, right? And then I'd have to crop them and whatever. Maybe I'll just select one of these trees. Well, if I hover on them, by the way, information will pop up about the source of that image. And it gives me a shortcut to the image, and it gives me, if I click on it, it'll give me more information about where that image lives in the World Wide Web. Let's just, it also, I know you can't probably read that fine print down there. Right here, it's telling me that this is 297 by 555 pixels in size. That's how big that image is. Compared to this one, which is 1024 by 768. So some of these images have higher resolution than others. But for the back of my Christmas card, I don't need anything very big. If I click on this image, it's going to jump to the web page where this image is found. I didn't want to do that, but at least it gave me a bigger version of this Christmas tree. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a right click on that tree picture. Up pops a menu that says, what do you want to do, boss? You want to view the image? I'm doing that. You want to copy the image? Yeah, or I could save it with a name someplace. I'm just going to say copy it. And then I'll go back to my card. And maybe I can say edit, paste. Ta-da! There it is. Now I can, by hovering over it with the mouse, when it's selected, that's a graphic image, and it's selected because you see the little corner markers. And when I put the mouse on it, you should be able to see the little four-way arrow, which means I can left click and drag and move it from here to there. And if I click on one of the little corner markers and get a two-way pointing arrow, left click and I can resize it and I can move it around. And now I've got a Christmas tree that will be where? On the back of my card. Ask me a question. I can see at least two of them out there stirring around. Oh. Okay, yeah, the question is, how do I know that's the back and that's the front? Let's go back to, you got it? Okay, let me close this little image and let's make that smaller so that I can jump back and forth to the tutorial. We go back to the tutorial. At the very beginning, remember, we folded up our paper and we wrote ourselves reminders of what was supposed to be where on our page before we folded it up. And then we unfolded that and we had it at our elbow so that when we got to this part, we'd know that that's the place where it's the back of the card. Okay? Ask me another.
Can you turn this upside down now that...
Well, glad you asked that question. I wouldn't want to turn the Christmas tree upside down because the back of the card is right side up in this view. But the left inside part of the card is upside down when I unfold it, as is the inside right. The inside right is usually where I write my little poem or give my little greeting or whatever. So let's see how we can put some text there and make it be right side up when you fold up the card. I'm going to go back to the text tool with a big T down here, and I'm going to just create some text somewhere up in this general area. Create some text somewhere in that general, click the text tool. Make sure I'm in the right window and not the other one that I had here. Inside the card. And I have the same game I can play. I can highlight all that and I can make it big enough for the world to see. And, oops, that's probably going to be bigger than the world wants to see it. And I can make it all kinds of fancy fonts. Let's just scroll down here a little ways and let's do the cathedral font for Christmas card. And let me click in there and make that go on to 2 lines. arrow, arrow, delete, because I don't need any space when I hit the enter key to put it on 2 lines. And while I'm at it, let me highlight all the text, and let me center it, and let me go right onto that 4-way thing, and let me drag it over into here. But it's right side up, you say, and this needs to be upside down. So I'm going to very carefully right-click on the border of my text box, and that pops up this little menu, and one of the options is position and size. So I'm going to left-click to select position and size, and up pops a dialog box that has several tabs. I can tell it how far in the X direction I want to locate that, how far in the right direction, or how far in the Y direction, up and down, left, right. And I can tell it this point is related to, or this location is related to the upper left corner of my thing or the center of the thing. I get to choose all those, but I don't want to worry about that. I just want to rotate it. So there's another tab here in this position and size dialog box that says rotation. And right now the angle is 0 degrees, but I would like to flip it 180. 180. Okay. It's fixed. And now when I fold up the card and open it inside of the right, where was it? The inside right panel of the card will be, again, right side up. It's hard to read and edit this text when it's upside down, but notice what happens. If I click on it to edit it, it flips and lets me edit it. And as soon as I deselect by clicking away from it, it remembers that it was rotated 180 degrees. Ask me a question. Okay, so far we've put regular text in, we've put a picture in, and we've put text and rotated it upside down. This drawing toolbar, by the way, gives us other ways to go find pictures. I did the copy paste trick, but if you hover on each one of the tools on a toolbar for a few seconds, it will pop up a little tool tip, and this tool tip says from file. And if I click on that, it's going to open up my dialog box where I can go look for pictures. And this is a standard Windows type dialog box. You'll have Mac Finder or something equivalent to this on your Mac. And I can go look around in my local disk drive, and I can look in the big picture show folder, and maybe I want to put that picture in there. So I selected it, and I'll say open, and it opens that picture. And once again, I can move it around. And if I'm going to put it there, can't tell, but this is upside down, or it should be upside down. So I'm going to, again, right-click on the edge of it, position and size, choose rotation, make it 180, and there it goes. And again, I can resize it, just like I did with the Christmas tree thing. Drag it around. There's another thing I can do once I have this picture image there. You know, if I right-click on it, one of the things I can do is I can say line, and when I say line, it opens up this dialog box and it says line style, invisible, no, I want it to be continuous. And I would like, just for sake of discussion, I will like to make it light red and about this thick. And okay, let's see what happens. Well, hard to see unless I zoom in here a little bit. So you see that I put a red line around the border of my picture. How did I do that? I right-clicked on it, and I clicked on the line tool to open its dialog box. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do with lines. If I right-click it again and choose something else, like area, one of the choices there in all these tabs is shadow. And I want to use a shadow. The shadow knows, and I can decide how far out the shadow sticks. I can decide what color to make the shadow. And when I say OK, it pops a drop shadow on that picture. It's ugly, I know, but I'm just demonstrating the concept, not making artistic things. Now, ask me another question. Yes, hold on.
How do you put color on the text?
How do I put colorful text? Or
No, make the color.
you want a color background for the text?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Well, let's just see. If I right-click on the border of my text box and I click on area, I wonder what choices I have. Here's something that says colors. That might be interesting. Ooh, let's choose, I don't know, pale yellow. I wonder what that will do. It gives a pale yellow background to the box that I had selected. There are other things that I could do instead of just color. I go back to this area choice, and I have something called, you saw the shadow trick, gradients. What is a gradient, you might ask? A gradient is a multicolor thing that goes from this color to this color and everything in between. And there are a whole bunch of standard gradient fills that are available here, but I can actually add my own and create my own gradients. But let's just put, I don't know, a Christmassy red with a white blotch in the middle gradient fill in that text box. So if I do that again, go back to that area, instead of gradients, I could do colors, I can do gradients, and I can do bitmaps. And there's a whole bunch of sort of little bitty pictures, and they have a whole bunch of standard ones. I could put a brick wall there, I could put brownstone, I could put leaves. There's all kinds of fills that you can fill the area of whatever object you have selected. Of course, filling this picture wouldn't do a lot of good because the picture's filling it, but filling the box that the text is in is something interesting that I could do.
I think he also meant to make the font colored.
If I want to change the color of the font, just like word processing more or less, I will select all the words in. Is that big enough for you to see? I see it very well up here, but I have to check to make sure you can see it. If it's not, I'll just make it bigger. I have the power. Okay, there are a bunch of tools on the font formatting toolbar when you have fonts selected, when you have characters selected. There's the bold tool and there's the shadow, and over here I could actually increase the font a little bit just by clicking that, or decrease it just by clicking that. Or I can click on this little thing, which if I hover on it, it says font color, and there are all my colors so that I can choose blue. Now it doesn't look blue because it's all selected, it's highlighted, but if I get away from it, you'll see the real color. When you highlight something, it's got to color it differently so you know what you've highlighted, or when you select something, it has to shade it different to show you you've selected that. So you can't tell what color that is when it's selected, but if I went and made that one green, now is green, and the other word. So I have the power to change the font down to an individual letter. And if you were doing an old-fashioned kind of thing, and this was a lot bigger than it'll fit on the page, but you could see it, I just select this one letter, and I could go up here and make that, where is it? Is it up this way or is it down that way? Cathedral is down this way. And that's a funny T, but that's a cathedral font T. You know, what they used to call illuminated manuscripts, you know, some of the ancient Gutenberg Bibles, the first letter of the page, it has a real fancy font to it. You could do that on your greeting card just by changing the font of one letter at a time. It must be something better than cathedral here. Old English will be similar, but hard for you to read back there. Market will at least be readable from your perspective. So, 4 panels, I print this thing, fold it up, I've got a greeting card. There are lots of commercial greeting card programs you can go out and down to the store and buy. The trouble is you don't have ultimate power. Some of them might automatically put Hallmark greetings on the bottom here and you can't change it. I don't know if it's true on the Hallmark one, but some of them will do that. But this one, you can make your own little fancy cards designed by me and have your own logo there. And then your greetees, the people you're greeting, will know that, hey, this is personalized. This isn't something you just ran down to the Kmart and picked off the shelf in a hurry. You made this personal for them. Another question. So far, we haven't gotten very far into the tutorial at all. But if you go through the tutorial, you'll get a review of the names of the different parts of the display, the format toolbar, which changes, by the way, depending on whether you have a object selected, a graphic selected, or text selected. And how do you select it? Well, down in the drawing toolbar is this little arrow with a selection tool. So if I choose that selection tool and then click on something, you'll see the little boxes around it that says, hey, that's the one you can work on right now. Or if I click on the font, it'll select that. There are some other drawing tools here. Maybe as part of my greeting card logo on the back page, I want to put a smiley face. So I'm going to click on this symbol shapes thing here. I got all kinds of symbol shapes to pick from. I got a smiley face. Now, how you draw symbols with this program is you click and drag. Once you've selected the symbol you want, imagine that you're going to drag out the corners of the upper left to lower right side of the symbol. So here I go. I'm going to click upper left, and I'm going to drag out lower right, and I mess around until I get the symbol the size that I want. There's my smiley face. Blue, I don't want it blue, I want it yellow. Well, wait a minute. It's a graphic object, and I have it selected, so the format toolbar is now a graphic formatting toolbar, and here's a little thing that says color, and here's a little place where I can choose colors. And there's a yellow color, and whatever was selected when I chose that color is now that color. Here's something that you might notice when you start dragging these things around. Somebody might get in front of somebody else. And when that happens, you may want to have somebody else in front and somebody else in back. Well, let's say we want the tree in front of the face. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that face and I'm going to go down here to this bar, and here's the thing that says arrange. And if I click on the little arrow beside arrange, you'll see all these different variations. Move it to the front. Send it to the back. I'm going to send smiley face to the back. Click. Now the Christmas tree is in front of the face. Or I could do it vice versa, whatever. So you can arrange who's on top of who by using the little arrange tool down here. And if you wanted, for example, you had this smiley face over here, now he's behind the words rather than in front of the words. And you could do this with a photograph too. If you wanted to put text on top of your photograph, you would arrange this front back so that the photograph is sent to the back and the text is brought to the front when they're laying on top of each other. Question? Let me just go back and review a little bit more of the tutorial. Okay, we named all the parts, and if you're going to follow the instructions in the tutorial, it's going to start by saying, okay, here's how you add text. You select the text tool, and then you'll have the text format toolbar once you've clicked down and made some text. And once you've selected some text in a box, you can pretty much deal with it the way you deal with it in word processing. And I just want to remind you, past or future word processing students, that in the Windows world, you can click the left mouse button more than once. It turns out that if you click the left mouse button twice on a word, it'll select the whole word. If you clicked it 3 times, it'll select a whole paragraph, and 4 times, or a whole line, and 4 times will select, so multiple clicks will select more or less of the text. So you don't have to click and drag to select stuff. I avoid click and drag because a lot of times I don't get it quite right and I accidentally drag something and I've got stuff like that. There's a question here from Gary.
I realize your contract was to put cards.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to write a newsletter. Now, that's a different thing.
Oh, okay.
Can you do that?
I can give you a quick answer of, no, I can't do it here, of how to write a newsletter because I don't have my template in this computer. What I would do for a newsletter is I would create a new document. If you go through the LibreOffice tutorials on the website, and they're in PDF file format, you will learn you can go through the lessons on LibreOffice, the tutorials that I have there, and it will show you a lot of this stuff. Templates are really powerful because what you can do is you can create a template that presets all kinds of stuff. This is a template that I use for my book projects, and I set it up so the first page automatically has the title with that yellow bar, and it automatically goes to the next page to a right, starts on the right side, goes to a left page, and the next one goes to the right page, and all kinds of stuff that Bill and I talked about earlier today. But this program, LibreOffice Writer, instead of the Draw program, is ideal for creating newsletters. If you're going to do more than one newsletter, it's a good idea to create a newsletter template. So tomorrow, instead of starting a blank document, I say, new template newsletter, just like that.
Another problem, though, in that is that, okay, you get it done, you got a template, I know you can save it, but where do you save it so you can find it again?
Oh, well, that's a personal problem. Where you save things so you can find them again is you have to take control. Instead of just saying save, you say in this world, you say file save as, and it opens up a dialog box, and you can create a new folder, and you can put the folder wherever you want it, and you can therefore organize your stuff so you'll find it again. But I'm hoping that having written this in some significant detail on the tutorial that's on our webpage, that you will be able to duplicate this exercise and learn even more than the things that I talked about tonight. Last chance for a greeting card question. Question here.
You did a four-fold card. I mean, this card is what we call a four-fold card.
Yes.
I'm assuming that you take your blank piece of paper and design front, back, inside out. If you're going to do a
If you want, this one was all.
two-sided,
Yeah.
full. What am I trying to say? The four, not the four-fold, the two-fold, either vertical or horizontal. You just lay out your.
Right. You
cheat sheet,
start the
cheat
same
sheet.
way.
Yeah.
You take a piece of paper, fold it up till it looks like it's in the shape of the greeting card you want to make.
Yes.
Write on it, front, back, whatever. Unfold it. You'll have a model to follow. This one was done in portrait mode, but I could have done it in landscape mode. But if I want to do a landscape mode, I'm going to fold up another piece of paper and write the front back words on that one, because it won't be quite the same as the other one. You also, when you fold up the paper, you have to decide, are the opening parts of the fold on this side of the card or that side of the card? You get to decide that when you fold the paper and write the little notes. But once you do that, the tricks are the same. I mean, you're going to have some stuff that has to be upside down and some stuff that doesn't, and all those steps are the same, no matter which format you decide to make the card. Why did I use the Draw program for this instead of the Writer program, you might ask? I used the Draw program because rotating the text box is easy in the Draw program. It's easier to do rotated text in the Draw than it is in Writer. Another question. Okay, thank you very much.